I will say at the start, there are some graphic parts of my story, and for me, it actually makes who I am as a person. I've done a lot of work on myself that it doesn't bring me down, but it can be graphic. Okay, so I'm just going to put that warning out to you all. I am 46 years old. I was born in Edmonton. I moved to this island when I was 6 months old. I lived in Port Hardy until I was 4, and I moved to Sydney when I was 4.5. I have no other memory but Victoria, really. My home was in my eyes, it was a good home. I had parents that provided for me. I got everything that I needed, what I thought, and I got disciplined the way that I thought I should. And what that discipline actually is made up of is that if I was doing something wrong, like fidgeting in the corner, I got hit. If I spoke out of turn, I got hit. But this is normal. This is the way it's supposed to be. The older I got, obviously, I was a child. So things started to happen. And I had a moment where I'd actually stolen some money from my dad. And I came home. He figured out it was me. I'm not too sure how, and I don't really care. But I got beaten quite severely for the thieving of money. And for me, it told me that, it gave me a total sense of, I'm a bad boy. I'm evil. I'm not right. And anytime I started to feel better about myself, I would do something wrong again. I'd fidget, or I'd speak out of line, or I'd be late for school, or something, and another beating would happen. So this went on. I was actually in grade 3, and I'd done something else. I can't really remember what it was. I think I broke a window in our house. I was playing racquetball with a rock and tennis racket, and smashed a glass, and got another beating for that. And my dad had told my mom that either he goes or I go. And this is something that I will remember for the rest of my life. I can still envision this man saying this. And my mom said, okay. The next day I'm shipped off to a foster home. I'm what? I don't even know how old I am. 8, 9, something like that. Whatever grade 3 is. Once again, yeah, I'm a piece of garbage. Even my family doesn't want me. So I go to this foster home. I went and saw a psychiatrist, and I went and saw other people. And while this is all happening, they realized that I'm not learning a darn thing in school. I actually have dyslexia. And there was a teacher in that class, in my school, that realized. So I'd been going to school for kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. No teacher had picked up that I don't read. No teacher had picked up that I'm not doing arithmetic properly. I go to the school, they realize it, and in hindsight, ADHD as well. Like, I had very high maintenance, very go, and this teacher figured it out. And so I ended up going to a separate class. And I started to learn how to read, how to do arithmetic, how to make things in my mind, I, to this day, wonder if I see the same things as you all do. I really don't know. I know that when I'm tired, I know when I am got too much going on in my brain, that my cylinders don't go all the way. You know what I mean? Like, they're half going all over the place. And most of you that know me, you can see that happening in me, right? Yeah. So that's why, I was actually in this foster home for about 9 months. And my family took me back. And I thought, okay, I'm a good boy again. Well, that was very short-lived. Very short-lived. The beatings continued. it didn't really matter, So I started to rebel, right? I'm 10, 11 years old. By this time, we've moved from Sydney to Victoria. Grew up in Esquimalt, which was somewhat of a rougher area of Victoria at the time. I started smoking dope. Started drinking. I don't want to say I got in with the bad crowd. I've never been one of those guys that needs to fit into a crowd. But I enjoyed getting the hell away from home. It was nothing for me to run away. There was nothing for me to not come home for 4 or 5 days. Nothing to it. My parents even stopped phoning. I'd have to come home at some point, and then I'd come home, get the beatings. And, it just went that way. I had one teacher in grade 7 that came to me because I'd come to school and I was physically showing the beatings, and she had asked me, what had happened. And I remember then thinking maybe I should say something. But of course I didn't, because it was my fault. I did this. Nobody else's fault. I'm the shithead, right? But this teacher I used as a stepstone later on in my life. So I get to high school. I found things actually, schooling didn't really work. I'd be able to go, and I was a C student, if that. If I applied myself, I got a C. If I tried really hard, I got a C plus. And if I just did, I just barely passed, C minuses. And what's the point of this? Where's my future? Where am I going to go? So I just dropped out. My last completed grade was grade 8. It was grade 10, like the start of grade 10, that I stopped going to school. And I started to party. Actually, that's what I ended up doing. I partied pretty well my entire grade 10 year. I partied that entire time. And my parents had told me that, if you want to live, not go to school, then you need to live as an adult. And living as an adult, you need to start paying rent. You need to start paying your bills. You need to start doing all this kind of stuff. And honest to goodness, I believe in that. And if I had a child, I'd probably teach him the same thing. But I had to live under their rule, right? And I had to live under the beatings. Dad confronted me, came at me. And for the first time in my life, I shoved him back. And I used very explicit words at him at that moment. And I believe that at that time, he realized, I'm going to hurt him. I can and will hurt him. He stopped. That was the last time Dad ever touched me. And for me, that was a time that I felt justified. I'm good, right? And now I need to exert my power over anybody and everybody. I started being that dominant a-hole. Anybody that interacted with me, you had to have that tough exterior. I'm not a good fighter, never was, but I'll tell you, I'm a pit bull. I'll just keep coming at you. For the 15 to about 22 weekly fights, at least, I didn't care. I just fought. That's what I was taught. I was taught this way, right? I'm drinking, I'm partying. My parents want me to live under their rule. I'm 15 years old. Screw you. I'm out of here. Out the door I go. My parents told me that you're going to come back. You're going to be like your brother and sister. And I said, no. You don't know me very well. You'll never see me again. And from that point, I said, no, I need to be on my own. So I lived on my own. I did what I needed to do, I tented. I slept on couches. I found little jobs here and there. I did what I needed to do. Right? I'm around 21. I'm around 21-ish, and I got introduced to cocaine. And as a child, as a teenager, it was only booze and pot was the only thing. And actually, I frowned upon drugs. You know, like you're just bad because you did that stuff. But I got introduced to cocaine, and I'll tell you, cocaine took my life away from me. I had no control over my life. I had absolutely nothing because of it. I went from being a person that felt somewhat strong to nothing in about 4 seconds. It took my life completely, utterly, totally away from me. I went to jail. I did 3 stints in jail. Family wrote me off. My friends all wrote me off. I had nothing. You know, and I still feel that place of nothing. And I'm in downtown Victoria. I knew about the organizations in town that help the poor. And I was told about this house here at Annabelle. And I was told that this is a place that I could come to, I could get a meal, I could do my laundry, and I could talk to somebody, right? And all I had to do was to help out, do a chore, and be clean and sober. I was able to do the first part. I was able to come and help out. I was able to get my needs met. I was able to get food and laundry, but I wasn't clean. I had a very big moment where I thought I was going to die. I really thought I was going to die. I really thought about it, thinking, what do I need? What can I do here? You know, like, can I become a better drug addict? Or can I clean up? Either choice seemed possible. I knew I couldn't keep using the way I was. I knew that was death. But I also didn't know how to live my life without this drug, because the drug took away all my pain. It took it all away. So what do I do? Right? So I'm coming here, I'm helping out, I'm being a part of. Anna invited me to a Christmas day. And one of the workers here by the name of Helene, God bless her soul, she met me at the door. And she had a present, and it had my name on it. I'll tell you, right then and there, I just lost it. Oh my God, how do they know my name? Why have they invited me to their home? You know? And so I come, I feel love, I feel cared for, and I'm just so surprised at what this place can do, right? So I actually asked the next day, I said, how do I become a resident? This goes back to 1995. I moved in, and I started to heal. I started to heal as a person. I went to a psychiatrist to work on my trauma, right? Realizing that, you know what? It's not okay for my dad to have beaten me 10,000 times in my life. It's not okay to be chosen to leave the home. At least not hear it. You know? I've learned that I'm not a bad person. And I've learned that my learning disability is just a disability. It's not who I am as a person. I started to work on those issues. And I started to build myself up. And I felt good. I felt, this is great. You know, so I lived here for a year. Things were great. I'm going to go move to Vancouver, and I'm going to take the world on by the horns. So off to Vancouver I go. 9 months later, I relapsed. And that relapse, I destroyed everything. Nothing left. I made sure I ripped off everybody I possibly could. I phoned Anawim, and I don't know why I phoned Anawim. I think I was phoning to say, thanks guys, but it's over. You know what I mean? I'm going to go kill myself, right? And Daryl answered. Daryl was on the phone. And he said, Terry, come home. That's what I did. I came home. And when I came home, I realized I needed so much more. I needed to also work on my addiction. I also needed to work on my self-control. where I need to actually be who I am as a person, right? So 12-step programs, individual counseling, working with the people here in different ways. Like we had a couple that worked here before, Lynn and Len, and they were old people, but they were loving people. And I could find that mother-father figure that I actually needed in my life. I could actually learn from them. Not that they turned into my mom and dad, but I could learn from them what sort of feeling it was to have them in my life, right? I was able to look at my brothers that lived here in this house as brothers that actually gave a shit, that actually worked with me and wanted to work with me and wanted me to get better, that I don't need to live in crisis. I don't need to live in desperation. I don't need to live feeling down here. That, Terry, you're a good person. And you have talents. And you have the ability to actually survive in life. Right? So I go back to school. I get my grade 12. I'm not a dummy. I passed like with B's. Because I was able to apply myself because I wanted to. I started to do volunteer work. I started to give back. And at that time, one of the workers here was leaving. And I was given 12 hours a week to work at Amazon. And I was not even like a D role here. I'm talking even less than that. I worked three little shifts. And it was difficult for me because I was actually a young adult at the time, right? So I'm about 28 at the time when this happened. And some of the residents didn't really want to listen to this kid, you know what I mean? But I found that instead of me trying to intimidate, trying to go over them, that why not I just be a brother? Why do I have to exert my authority, which is what I learned from my family. My family was totally be assertive. Where now, go this way. Go with compassion, go with love, go with understanding. Right? And I'll tell you, that's what worked. People started to want to come to Terry and talk to Terry. Thought, this is pretty cool. People are coming to me about their stuff. And I started to talk with them and give them strength and the ability to be who they are. Right? So, in a nutshell, what ended up happening, of course, I went from a 12-hour a week up to 30 hours as a coordinator. And now I'm the director. I've been the director now for 8 years. And my big thing is that over the years I've learned that we need to work together. That it isn't a matter of where this person is or where that person is. We're actually all together, and we need to work together and realize what are people's strengths and what are people's weaknesses. Right? I tend to look for people's strengths and ask them, how do you have that strength in your life? And I pull that energy from them. Right? People that have weaknesses, I don't ask them for help in that area because I don't need that. They're weak in that area. And I don't need that for myself. Right? And I do my absolute best to not look at that area of weakness. You know what I mean? It's about the strengths that everybody has. And my hardest thing for me today to do is to step away from the mentoring in this house and allow the new staff to learn how to do this. Right? I've been here 22 years now. Right? And it's time for the next level of people to come up to mentor and help. Right? I share my story not to say, hey, look at me. I share my story to give the strength that, it doesn't matter what your past is. It's a matter of looking at where you are today and wanting to change and grow. And what you're willing to do. It doesn't matter what has happened. You can get over it. You might have to go to do things to make that happen, but it is possible. And do your absolute best to not let life get you down. I was saying that I work today so I can have a life. I don't have my life so I can work. Right? And that's a big thing for me. You know, I'm very proud of where I am today. I'm very proud of what I have accomplished. And I'm also very proud that I didn't allow that other baggage that I have from my past to continue to go forward. You know, and it still happens. I shouldn't say that. It does come up, and some of you have actually been a part of that before. Like there's 2 of you here that have seen that bad part of me, and that's okay. That's who I am as a person. So that's all I got. That's my story.
Thank you.